Hi, welcome back. I am Cameron Akers, and I'm going to talk to you again about hollow earth theory. Now, before I begin, I wanted to clear some things up about the skeptics. I understand skepticism is important in creating anything new, and I need your skepticism to further push me along, to give me ideas and areas to look into that I had not previously thought of. With that being said, on the skeptics, unless you can actually provide me with evidence that you did, there's no point to saying, oh, look at this evidence that I found over here that these scientists did that was backed by some government agency. There's no point. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's bad science. It's why it's used. So unless you've done it yourself, there's no point in being skeptical because you truly don't know yourself. You're basing your ideas off mass acceptance. It's the same mistake they made when the first theory of that the earth was flat came up. Mass acceptance will drive anyone to insanity. So I'll be considered, insane or crackpot because my ideas don't go along with the masses. That's what I'm trying to change. Mass acceptance doesn't necessarily mean truth. With that being said, I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about magnetism because I wanted to clarify a few things because a lot of people were confused and they were asking me all kinds of questions about how the continents drift. Well, if you understand magnetism and you understand how a magnetic field usually functions, it functions just like a Rodin's coil. That's why I told you to look into that. You have to understand that before you can understand this. That's the problem. Rodin's coil is very simplistic to understand. It gives you 10 minutes and you can understand it. Just take the time if you really want to know. With that being said, Edward Leeds Scollins' design for a perpetual motion holder, not a perpetual motion machine, a holder of perpetual motion, is key in this discovery too because it confirms the counter-rotating fields and how they operate. This is how it generates lift with the Rodin's coil because it's nothing but a bunch of counter-rotating fields. One going clockwise, one going counterclockwise, working against each other to generate lift. So, with that being said, this is how this works as well. You put a positive charge into this coil and negative charge into this coil, and they counter-rotate around each other, and they never leave this bar-shaped magnet, U-shaped magnet with the iron crossbar across the top. Has to have that for it to function. Once you remove this crossbar, the energy is then released. But until that energy will always be locked into this thing. Now, that's the key and basis for AI. That's what's crazy about this too. No, I don't know why anyone hasn't picked up on this. It is a device that has energy trapped into it that responds to a stimulus. Your body is a device that has energy trapped into it, electrical energy, and it responds to stimulus. You break your arm, you disrupt the flow of energy, you sense pain. Ow, hurts. You eat a food. The alkalines in the food are digested in your stomach and in turn release energy, like acid of a battery. It's the same function. Your body is a machine. Look at it that way, and this starts to make a lot more sense. So now we have this living thing, literally, that responds to stimulus. All it needs is a program to govern it in order to make it move and control something. It has to be able to be built like that. So this is the basis for AI right there, so that's pretty impressive in its own right. With that being said, back to Hollow Earth. And I'm going to answer some questions that they had. They were asking me, one of them was a good one about the plate movement and how that's controlled. Well, that's because now I figured out we are not on this outer part that everybody originally assumed. I had never come to the conclusion of what part we were in. I have come to the conclusion now that we are indeed inside the central part with this iron core sun governing everything. We are trapped in the central part, and when we actually go to space, all we're doing is approaching this inner magnetic field we have to push through. That's why they don't want to go back to the moon. There's nothing to be gained from the moon because there's not real space. And that's not real. It is real space in a literal definition, but it's not the space that they're looking for. So when they landed on the moon, that's why there's no stars in the background, because you landed on something that's actually attached to a solid surface that's rotating around us. So you've landed on this thing in the middle of, that's why there's a dark side of the moon. You can't see the other side because it's nothing but blackness for a reason. And that's why the pictures, they don't show any stars because when you're that close, the sun's not reflecting off that in a way that you can see it because you're too close to it. That's why there's no stars in those pictures. Ooh, yeah, intriguing, right? So with that being said, we are trapped in this inner part. This is the quote-unquote hell, and if you need some religious advice for it, I've got the Bible right here, and here's a quote that's pretty crazy. It is in Genesis number 7. It says, "And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so." Now, if you look up what the little definition of firmament is support. So he divided the waters from above and below, the support. You see what I'm saying? So above and below. It is not the sky above. It is actually earth above and below. So that's what he's telling. It's not him. It's whoever wrote this is telling you how it was done. So this is literally above the firmament, below the firmament, and we're on the below side, quote unquote, our own hell. It's not really hell, it's just the land of ignorance. They just want you to think it's hell, and they want you to think George Walker Bush, you know, how his name makes 666 is the devil. He's not the devil. He has no real power. He's afraid of us. That's the key. You guys operate off fear, so you're not willing to delve into the unknown right now, and I don't want you to be afraid. You need to explore this crap. So the stars, like I said, the stars, this is why birthstones are important. The stars and your birthstone, so if the light's shining off this part of the firmament, and it's reflecting a blue birthstone, which is mine, I forget what it is for March, but it's a light blue birthstone. So that's my birthstone for a reason, because that's what's shining more brightly in the sky. That's why you need to understand astrology. That's why those stars never move. They never move. God, look at them 100 years from now. They never move. There's a reason for that. Okay? So they never move. They just sit there for a reason. That's why you can predict things. That's why the Egyptians dug temples lining up with Orion's belt, so they would know at what point they could dig under and get through to, quote unquote, the upper world. That's what we're in. We're in the lower world right now. And it's crazy. It's like, oh my God, I have claustrophobia. If you look in the sky, that's why you look in the daytime sky, you can't see shit. There's nothing out there. Prove me wrong, please. There's nothing out there for a reason. You're looking at something, you're looking at a rock almost, way off in the distance. It's almost farther than the eye can perceive. So that's why it works. You're kept in this little bubble, and you need to escape. Not to escape, we need to make this place better, because it's being governed by asshats. Anyway, so like I said, it revolves around the earth. Shit, I'm getting too wordy. Alright, back again. So it revolves around the earth, and this is why Alaska in general has those weird ass 6 months days, because when the top, it functions like this. The sunlight comes in and it gives power to this emanates light, but what it really is doing is it can't light up the poles. This can't light up the poles. It never does. So this is needed to light up the poles. So when the hole's open and it's right above Alaska, it's all good. They have 6 months of freaking sunlight. But then when it's not over Alaska, they have 6 months of darkness. That's why that happens, is because this hole, that's why eclipses, you're looking at the real sun. You're not looking at a fake sun. That's why it can blind you a little bit easier than this sun. Because that blackness is true energy. Pure energy is completely black. It's the absence of all color. It absorbs all color. White is nothing but a reflection of all color. So it's not energy. White is not pure energy. Blackness is pure energy. Scary to think of it like that, but it is pure energy. And that's how that functions. That's why Alaska is like it is. Now I'm going to stop now and let you guys ask me some more questions about the myriad of things you're going to talk about. Like I said, you have to understand magnetic fields and how they actually operate to understand this. And until then, you can't ask me all these weird questions about how plate tectonics work, because it's very apparent how they work if you understand true magnetism. Thank you.